this hearing is to allow for discussion concerning the financing arrangement or agreement for the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract. Anyone wishing to speak can come to the podium and address the issue for no longer than 3 minutes. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak to this issue? Seeing that we have no one to speak on this matter, do I hear a motion from the board that we close the public hearing?
I make a motion we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion passes. Now, welcome to our regular board meeting of April the 8th, 2019. We are happy that you are here and glad that it's springtime, and be a strange situation if we had any more snow at this point. So we're happy that the flowers are out in springtime, and spring break's coming up very soon. And it's amazing to think that before we have our next school board meeting, the early college will have its graduation. So the early college will have its graduation on the 11th of May. So time is slipping away in this school year, and we hope everybody has a great end to the school year. I don't know if you had the opportunity or not, Thursday, Friday, 2 performances on Saturday across the street at the Civic Center had Beauty and the Beast. Absolutely outstanding. And we have several of the star performers here with us tonight. Our principals were involved on Thursday night and Friday night. David Caldwell did the role of a bookseller. As a matter of fact, they all played the same role. Let's see, Craig Styron, I saw him, he's right over here. David Caldwell over here, Craig Styron, Chad Smith in the back. And then on Saturday night, our own Dr. Phipps was the bookseller. So it was exciting to see, and they did a superb job. Well, at least I know Dr. Phipps did, because I went on Saturday night. But it was magnificent. Hard to believe, the sets, the performances, the singing, the band, everything about it was just wonderful. So we're very happy to have that kind of talent in Caldwell County and in our schools. The next item on our agenda is invocation for the board. So I'm going to call on fellow board member Mrs. Ann Edwards.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to facilitate a moment of reflection. May we focus on that for which we are all truly grateful. At this time of year, there's so much to celebrate in our public schools. I'm grateful we can do this today. We're in the season where we call it of the year. And we are meeting with administrators and teachers and rookie teachers and administrative assistants and associates and bus drivers and all of these folks who we are going to recognize as Excellence in Education of the Year. It's a worthwhile endeavor, but it's very difficult for truly all of our educators standing here. So many of you in this room are truly worthy of that honor. We've celebrated Battle of the Books. We look forward to the million-word readers. My colleague, Chairman Pennell, just mentioned the collaboration in Beauty of the Beast. I can't tell you, as a person who celebrates the arts, how wonderful that was to see our various arts educators from 3 of our public high schools and many of our middle schools and elementary schools, 17 I believe in all, working together to collaborate. It makes my heart soar, just like in Kaleidoscope, where we had so many of our students from many of our public schools celebrating and presenting their talents and skills. But in addition to that, the board did a work walkthrough, and in doing that walkthrough, we listened to 2 schools talk to us about how they're collaborating and working to provide the best curriculum possible for our children, our students. We hear that over and over, the striving. And in fact, one teacher even said, I study with my coffee in the morning so I can offer excellence for my students. These are all things for which I am thankful. Our superior, I'm looking at arts people in here, we have our superior band and chorus performances, our all-state band. I've been to a 1st grade and a 5th grade school play. And as we look forward with anticipation to the end of the year, what we understand and realize that the real relationship in education occurs between the teacher and the student, who is so very dedicated to excellence in education. So I've mentioned a few that our board has had the privilege of seeing and witnessing since we met in the last board meeting, but I would ask you that for which you are thankful, and ask you if you have a moment to pause, would you do so with me in gratefulness and a thankful heart for the educators that we have throughout the system. Could we do that now? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have 2 students from Gateway School. They are Dylan Gill, son of Gianna Stamatukis, and Josh Powell, nephew of Stacy and Melissa Benfield. Okay, so Dylan, it's all yours. Everybody, please rise.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dylan, for being here. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, which the board has had opportunity to look at. Do I hear a motion from the board that we approve the agenda as has been presented?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have a series of minutes. On March the 4th, 2019, the board had a work session followed by a closed session. So minutes of those 2 meetings, the board has had opportunity to review. Do I hear a motion we approve those 2 sets of meetings on the 4th of March?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the regular minutes and the closed session minutes for March 4th, 2019 work session as presented.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes. Next, we have approval of the regular session and closed session minutes of March the 11th. Do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular session and the closed session on March the 11th?
Chairman Penland, I move that we approve both the regular session and the closed session minutes for March 11th, 2019 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. March 25th, we had a board walkthrough. We went through a number of schools in the county, most of them in the southern district of our county. We also had a community meeting, board meeting at Whitnell School. Minutes were taken from that. The board's had an opportunity to review. Do I hear that we, if we have a motion to approve the minutes of that meeting?
I move that we approve the board walkthrough minutes from March 25th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item we have on the agenda is we have a group or two gentlemen that are here to tell us about the Charters of Freedom. They have a short presentation that they want to do, and I don't want to, get into the details because I'm sure you'll do that. But we have with us Mike Unruh and David Streeter.
Thank you very much. David's going to pass out some of our new literature to you, and we have a brief presentation that we would like to show everyone, and then we'll summarize afterwards.
Where history meets the future. Those who are fortunate enough and have the time can see their Charters of Freedom in Washington, D.C. However, most will never see these original documents. Vance and Mary Jo Patterson took that experience and in January 2013 set up Foundation Forward, an educational nonprofit.
From the beginning, this has been an educational project. Our founding fathers believed that in order to have a free and independent country, you must understand how government works, that you cannot control what you do not understand. And that's the purpose of Foundation Forward, to educate our students and preserve the history of our country, of our founding fathers, the story behind these founding documents, and what it took to bring these amazing ideals to reality. There are 3,142 counties, boroughs, parishes, independent cities, census zones, and the District of Columbia in the United States. Our goal as a foundation is to place Charters of Freedom settings in as many of those communities as possible over the next 10 years. Once these settings are in place, we don't just leave. We begin our community outreach and other meaningful educational projects. Imagine, if you will, teachers bringing their 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students on annual field trips to their Charters of Freedom settings, where they'll spend time learning about the founding documents, about the founding fathers, they'll learn how government is meant to operate, and about their state and local government, and local heroes. In addition, we've begun producing a Broadway quality production of 1776 the musical, taking it into communities, offering it as a gift to the students. Last year, we invited the entire school system in Charlotte, North Carolina, free of charge from Foundation Forward, and we had over 1,100 tickets disappear overnight. It was an incredible performance, but what really struck home was towards the end of the play, when the representative from Georgia was on stage. He walked over and slid Georgia's name over to vote for the Declaration of Independence. The kids just went crazy, and it was at that moment I knew that these kids had actually taken ownership of their American history, perhaps for the first time in their lives. And it was an incredible feeling, an amazing experience for all involved. Our hope is they took that experience back to their classrooms for in-depth discussions, and that they took it home and told their families about it, to make their families want to go down to their Charters of Freedom settings, creating a life experience, sharing that feeling, and their new appreciation for American history. It's through these efforts, by placing these documents in permanent proper settings, in local communities across our country, combined with the meaningful civic education programs, the site visits, and the Broadway quality production of 1776, that we believe we are helping to preserve the history of our country, the democratic form of our republic, so that future generations will have and understand the rights and liberties our founding fathers intended. Our hope is that our future leaders will come from communities where they have their own Charters of Freedom settings, that your children will no longer grow up talking about the Constitution and Bill of Rights in Washington, but they'll be talking about their Constitution and their Bill of Rights, the ones they grew up with right in their home community.
After one visit, these grade school children will know more about our history and government than most of the people in the United States. If your community is fortunate enough to have been selected to receive a gift of a Charters of Freedom setting, then that means the funding is in place. Funding that involves no tax dollars. Foundation Forward, an educational nonprofit where history meets the future.
Just to update the board as to the status of the Charters of Freedom here in Caldwell County. We have already met with city and county officials. The project has been approved. The land has been donated. The setting for Caldwell County will be placed in front of the historic Caldwell County Courthouse, right over there between Tabrisa Books and the Shaken Dog. So in that little space right there, there's a historic bench, and we will be on the corner where the grassy area is, right next to that bench. As far as when construction is going to begin, we will be digging the holes to pour the foundations at the end of this month, and that will line us up for a May 6th date that we have just established, a meeting that we had on Friday with Dr. Phipps and Mr. Pennell, as well as the masonry instructors from South Caldwell, West Caldwell, and High Brighton High Schools. The masonry students of your county are going to build your Charters of Freedom, and that will be the first project of its kind in the United States to be built by students of that home county. We're very proud to be part of that. And just to give you a brief update on our other education initiatives, I'm going to present Dr. Streeter.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come and take just a few minutes of your time this morning. I know you, or this afternoon, I know you have a packed agenda, so all I'm going to say at this point is that we do have funding in place to help with field trips once the setting is built in town, and we also have some educational materials to supplement, not to replace what is already being taught. So the superintendent and I have already talked about getting together later this month, and we'll be discussing that more. And so, but we're very proud and honored to be coming to Caldwell County. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Streeter and Mr. Unruh. We truly appreciate it, and we look forward to the completion of that, and certainly our masonry students being a big part of that. That's wonderful that they are going to be able to play a part in this. So we look forward to the completion of that. Next item on the agenda, we have some announcements. I'd like to recognize fellow board member, Mr. Joe Sims.
Thank you. So, just 4 or 5 announcements. One that's going on within every school in the county is the Change for Children campaign. It's now through, it'll run through April 15th. The money that is raised is, as it says, it's change that the students bring and drop off. It goes to Robin's Nest in Lenoir. Second, this Saturday, April 13th in Uptown Lenoir, beginning at 8 a.m. and lasting through 3 p.m., is the Gravity Games, which is an awesome event. So if you get an opportunity to come into Lenoir, you should go check that out because see what the students are doing. And as Chairman Pennell's mentioned earlier, spring break's coming up April 19 through 26. On April 15th, we have the Hall of Honor dinner is across the street at the Civic Center, which is I think we recognize 3 or 4 every year, but it's an awesome event. Just recognize people that have done a lot of good things in Caldwell County. And then one that, if you get an opportunity, you should go to May 3rd to High Brighton High School, the Spring Special Olympics. It's open to the public in the stadium. If you want to make your heart melt, you should go to that and just watch the joy that they have and the hugs and cheering each other on, and it's a good day. Our next board work session is May the 6th, and then our next board meeting is May 13th.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Dr. Phipps?
We have kindergarten screening that's underway. We encourage, if you have a rising kindergarten student, to contact your school to get particular information. Also follow some information on our website. Blue Ridge Energy Electric is working with us to have a safety and science extravaganza. This is across the street, April the 8th through the 10th. 4th graders attend, and they participate in half-day increments. Also, April the 8th through the 13th is the Week of the Young Child. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate those who work with young children and to highlight the importance of development and reading and conversations and all the things that we want to make sure are happening with our young children as prior to them coming into school. On the 30th of April, the Community and Schools Reality Store, an all-day event will be going on at the Civic Center. And finally, May the 6th through the 10th is Teacher Appreciation, and we hope that you'll take the time to just thank the teachers that you have contact with for their work, for their passion, and for the commitment and the way they do their jobs.
Thank you, Dr. Phipps. Now, I want to recognize Mrs. Libby Brown, Director of Community Services. We're going to be doing our recognitions and honors, and we know many of you are here for that reason. And the board's going to move down. We'd like to ask, though, because Dr. Griffin is also going to announce our student teachers, if you can stick around for an extra couple minutes while he does that after Mrs. Brown finishes with the recognitions here. The board's going to move down front and congratulate those.
Chairman Pennell, Vice Chairman Branch, board members, and Dr. Phipps. We are very pleased and proud this evening to recognize students in elementary and middle grades who have been selected to have their artwork entered into the Education Center Art Gallery. These art pieces will be on display from now until June 3rd, and we encourage you to come back. All of you parents, it's great to see you here this evening, and bring your family members because it's open to you to enjoy these outstanding pieces of artwork. As I call your name, students, please come forward. We're going to start with Happy Valley School, and Meredith Griffin is principal, and if Meredith will join us, please. And Perry Sadeghi is the art teacher. So we're going to start with our first grader, Natalie Cozart, and this is her beautiful piece of artwork. Is Natalie here? So let's Guy Grimbeek, third grader at Happy Valley. Mr. Guy, is he with us? Okay, he's here. Okay. Kimberly Mendez, seventh grader at Happy Valley School. Yes. Gracelyn Pennell, seventh grader at Happy Valley School. Corbin Roby, first grader at Happy Valley School. Would you like for me to do one more school? And now we'll entertain the praises of students from Kings Creek School. And Jenny McNulty is the principal. She's here this evening. And Lydia Stewart is the art teacher. So we'll let them come up so they can greet their artist. Braden Cozart. Braden is a second grader at Kings Creek School. Caitlin Johnston, fifth grader at Kings Creek School. Savannah Meelam, sixth grader. She's not here, okay. Kagan Staub, a fifth grader at Kings Creek School. Leah Watson, fourth grader at Kings Creek School. And do you want to do a picture now? Let's do a picture. Let's take a break. And students, if you'll move to the center, and we want to get a picture to put on our website. And parents, it's picture time as well. Okay, and we will finish with Oak Hill School, and Chris Ackerman is principal, and Lydia Stewart, if you'll stay with us. She's also the art teacher at Oak Hill. Robert Bates, 7th grader. Okay, he isn't here. Nate Blakely, he is a 5th grader at Oak Hill School. Not here, okay. Kayla McGee, Kayla is here, so let's give Kayla a full Sarah Span is here. She is a 5th grader. So Sarah, let's congratulate you. And Allie Walker. Allie is a 5th grader. Also, Allie, you will round out this group. So we will get a picture. You guys will get back to the center and we'll get a picture. There is a strong and binding legacy of music and the arts valued and supported by students, parents, and grandparents from generation to generation to generation in the Caldwell County schools. This year measures up and exceeds those high expectations, and it is our pleasure to recognize the superior performances by Caldwell County Schools band and choruses at the North Carolina Music Performance Adjudication, which we call the MPAs. And we're going to start with our middle school bands, and these bands have received superior ratings. Gamewell Middle 8th grade band, Stephen Robeson is the band director, and Anna Crook is principal. So, Granite Falls Middle, do we have? No, we want you to come on down. I knew I had seen you earlier. Granite Falls Middle 7th grade band and Granite Falls Middle 8th grade band, both superior performances for Granite Falls Middle. Patrick Haymore, I think this is his first year, and Melissa Costin, principal, couldn't be prouder of her first year band director. Second year, you're still first year teacher. Yeah. Okay. Hudson Middle School 8th grade band, Leah Massey, Julia Knight Lovett is the principal of Hudson Middle School. William Lenore Middle School 7th grade band and William Lenore Middle School 8th grade band. No stranger to this recognition, Terry Reed, band director at William Lenore Middle School. And Lisa Vaughn is principal, so you're not going to slip out of the picture yet. Yeah. So would you like to go on to high school bands as well? Okay, let's do a picture now of our middle school band.
Everybody want to move down this way? We're going to get a picture now.
Yeah, she gets in the back and you have to measure the front.
Congratulations. Okay, for our high school bands, they will not be outdone by the middle school bands. We will start with High Brighton High School Band. Hunter Suits is the band director, Superior Rating, and David Caldwell is his proud principal who's standing right beside of him. South Caldwell Symphonic Band. Jason Childers is the band director, and South Caldwell Wind Ensemble, 2 superiors this year for South Caldwell High School Band, and Chad Smith is the principal. I think did some students. Okay. Would you like to Okay. And of course, we can't leave out West Caldwell High School. West Caldwell High School Band, James Schulstad is the director and Craig Styron is principal. So all 3 high schools came back with superior ratings. Picture time. So you just give us. And we can, as they're getting ready for their picture to move center, of the 7 schools represented, they came back with 11 superior ratings. That's pretty darn good. And I will say, and I know all of you could get up here and boast, but I will say for William Lenore Middle School, that's their 35th consecutive superior rating. Okay. Of course, now we're going to move to our choruses. That's why we have another stack of certificates to give away. Gamewell Middle School 8th grade chorus. Amber Lagulin is the chorus director at Gamewell Middle School, and Anna Crook will come back up for her recognition. Granite Falls Middle 7th grade chorus and Granite Falls Middle 8th grade chorus. Justin Gray is the chorus director, and Melissa Costin is principal. So, is this your first year? This is the first year. Hudson Middle 6th grade chorus. Kate Lawhorn. Julia Knight Lovett is principal. So Hudson Middle School also received. And William Lenore Middle School, Carla Reed. And we all know Carla in this spotlight. Carla Reed received 4 superior ratings, 6th grade chorus, 7th grade chorus, 8th grade chorus, and treble chorus, all for William Lenore Middle School chorus. And Lisa Vaughn, who is probably hiding behind me, yes. We're so proud of our chorus. So middle school, we have so many middle school certificates to get away. We'll get a picture of this, and we'll get to our high school chorus accolades. Yes, congratulations. And Mrs. Reed will not be outdone by her husband, Terry Reed, at William Lenore Middle School. So please tell us how many superior.
Since 2001, we've had 58 superior ratings.
58 superior ratings. Now to the high school level. High Brighton High Beginning Choir, High Brighton High Concert Choir, High Brighton High Honors Ensemble by first-year teacher 2 Caldwell County Schools, Bernadette Watts. You will never leave High Brighton now, Bernadette. They won't let you go. And David Caldwell is her principal. South Caldwell High School Chorus. Also, I think Justin, is this your first year? Second year, first year, and has blown them away at South Caldwell High School. Justin Johnson came back with a superior, and Chad Smith is his proud principal. And Craig Styron couldn't be happier with his chorus performances this year, with Bethany Wolf leading the charge of all the choruses. They brought back 3 at West Caldwell High School: West Caldwell High Beginning Chorus, West Caldwell High School Concert Choir, and West Caldwell High School Chamber Choir. We are so proud of our chorus throughout the district. And as you're moving to the center now for a picture, if we can all move to the center. We did have one student make All-State Band from South Caldwell High School, Lilia Chapman, 10th grader, and she couldn't be here tonight because she's performing in a symphony. So you can see why she made All-State Band.
Now the real one.
Now we're going to turn our attention to our students. The following students have received their invitations for the academically renowned 2019 North Carolina Governor's School Section. It is an intensely competitive process as intellectually gifted students from across the state vie for a few select spots to attend the 5.5-week residential program in the summer. The curriculum focuses on the exploration of the most recent ideas and concepts in each academic discipline and the arts. It does not involve credit, tests, or grades. Sounds appealing. It is the oldest statewide summer residential program for academically or intellectually gifted high school students in the nation. The North Carolina State Board of Education, North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and colleges, universities associated with the North Carolina Governor's School recently made an announcement, an exciting new venture for them. It's a hallmark move. They are taking Meredith College Raleigh, will continue its excellent hosting of Governor's School East, while the Governor's School West is transitioning from Salem College, Winston-Salem, the original campus, home for North Carolina and a model for the country, to High Point, University High Point, beginning with the summer of 2019. So our students are part of that new transition for Governor's School. Dr. Phyllis Blair is the AIG director, and she leads that program and helps with this selection process and getting all the information where it needs to be so these students can compete with their peers across the state. So congratulations to the following students: Peyton Pagelyn Gregg. Pagelyn is at the Early College High School. Her principal is Candace Hageman, and she will be attending Governor's School West in mathematics. Her parents are Tim and Kim Gregg. So congratulations. Cody Pennell, also from the Early College High School. Cody will be attending Governor's School West in natural science. His parents are Amy and Stacy Pennell. So congratulations. Rhoda Mandolin Wachter. She goes by Mandolin. Okay, Madeline. She goes by Madeline. She is from High Brighton High School. Her principal is David Caldwell, and she will be attending Governor's School East in English. Her parents are Deborah Walkner and David Walkner. So congratulations. Hannah Wood, South Caldwell High School, Chad Smith principal. Hannah will be attending Governor's School East in natural science. Her parents are Anissa and Philip Wood. So congratulations, and we know we have proud parents. So parents, if you'd like to take a picture. We're very proud of Pagelyn, Cody, Madeline, and Hannah. Very fine-looking group to represent Caldwell County Schools. Okay, and our last recognition for this evening will be the top in the state in plumbing. And I'm not sure if they're here tonight, our plumbers, but we are very, very proud of them. And this is with Skills USA in North Carolina competition. We have Caleb Crisp, and Principal Steyer is going, no, he's not here tonight. We could do all kinds of plumber jokes, but we're not going to, okay? But we are so proud of Caleb. This is his third consecutive year. We have the top student in the state of North Carolina. He's very humble. He's very shy about it, but he is the top student in plumbing in the state of North Carolina. Third-time winner. And Mr. Steyer, would you come up and take his certificate back to him, Caleb Crisp? We're just so pleased and proud of him. And his teacher is Mike Swanson, who taught him very well in the skills of plumbing as part of our career technical education program here in the Caldwell County Schools. We're so proud of him. Tell him we really appreciate him, and we may be seeing him one day down the road. we all may be looking for Caleb one day. So let's give and yes, Luke Norris also. He was fourth place finish, and Luke could not be here as well. So just tell both of those guys how proud we are of them and of the CTE program. And Libby Huff is here in the audience, and she is our CTE director. So send our best to both of these young men. Thank you. And
Chairman Pennell, Vice Chairman Branch, members of the board, Dr. Phipps, we want to take this time this evening to celebrate our student teachers for the spring semester here in Caldwell County. We began this process this school year in honoring and recognizing our student teachers One, that we have wonderful partnerships within our universities, our local universities, and two, the fact that not only do hopefully they learn a lot from our teachers, but we also learn from them. And we hope that it's a partnership with the quality people that we have, that possibly we could continue our partnership and job, guys. So it's getting close. We're looking for quality people here always in Caldwell County. So we want to take just a little time this evening to recognize those individuals that have completed their student teaching here in Caldwell County. And Katie is going to call them out, and we'll recognize them now. Thank you.
In just a second, Dr. Griffin, I'd like to also thank the many principals and clinical educators that assist us with placing these students and work with them. You are very important in the process. We have a very large group this semester, and according to our university contacts, they are some of the most talented that we have had in a good while. I've heard lots of good things coming from the schools. Also, thank you to Mr. Bradshaw, who's here from Appalachian State. We have 21 from ASU, 1 from ECU, 1 from Western Governors, 1 from Colorado Christian, and 2 student teachers from Lees-McRae this semester. We will start with a group from ASU. Sarah Kennelly from who did her student teaching at Davenport School. Okay. McCara Dixon, Bayton. Lauren Moore, Davenport. Jasmine Gans, Lower Creek. Cameron Haney from Kings Creek.
Yeah, if you're here, come on up.
Come on up. Molly Sims, who was at Granite Falls Elementary, and I do believe she is still in Ireland, correct? So she could not join us tonight. Stuart Smiley from Happy Valley School. Anna Ray Van Osdell from Collettsville. Sarandon Abernathy from West Caldwell High School. Dustin Grant from South Caldwell High School. Aqua Wen from the Early College. Alexandria Gomez from West Caldwell High School. Kirsten James, William Lenore Middle. Caitlin Johnson from Gamewell Middle. Carolina Paris from South Caldwell High School. Amanda Setzer from Granite Falls Elementary. Sarah Mapes from the Middle College. Madison Bumgarner from Hudson Elementary School. Anna Goodman from Gamewell Elementary. James Gardner from Gamewell Middle School. And our final ASU student teacher, Savannah Watts from High Brighton High School. Next, from ECU, we have Ashley Deal, who did her student teaching at Gamewell Middle. Ashley Ballard with Western Governors University, who did her student teaching at Davenport. Shannon Watts from Colorado Christian University, who did her student teaching at South Caldwell High School. Brandy Moore from Lees-McRae, who did her student teaching at Dudley Shoals. And finally, from Lees-McRae, we have a beginning teacher who was already recognized tonight, who is in a master's program that also required student teaching, Amber Lagulian from Gamewell Middle School.
Slide down to that moment.
Mr. Sims, you later, or on the other side of the unit. Awesome, that's perfect. There you go. I am.
Thank you for being here tonight, and now would be an appropriate time, unless you want to stay for the rest of our business meeting. Some of you may have dinner waiting, but have a great rest of the year.
Hand sanitizer. Just do hand sanitizer.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Many of those students, those young people. Oh, good, good. Well, you know, we should. Oh, it's
Okay, we'll continue on with the business section of our meeting. Next on the agenda is public comment, and as of this afternoon, we had not received any public comments, so we'll move along. This time, I'd like to bring to the podium Mrs. Lynette Shelby, president of the local NCAE. Has a few things that she wants to share with us.
Good evening, Chairman Pennell, Vice Chairwoman Branch, members of the board, and Dr. Phipps. My name is Lynette Shelby, and I am the president of the Caldwell County Association of Educators, the local division of NCAE. Almost 1 year ago in May, NCAE sponsored a rally for respect in Raleigh. Almost 30,000 educators, support staff, parents, students, and concerned citizens, including many from Caldwell County, went to the state capitol demanding that lawmakers put our students first when crafting the budget. Our voices began to be heard that day. However, there is still more work to be done in order to make North Carolina a leader in public education once again. To that end, this May 1st, those of us who support public education are once again returning to Raleigh in order to advocate for our public schools and communities in 5 areas. First, to fund student services to include more counselors, nurses, social workers, and psychologists. Next, include a $15 minimum wage plus a 5% raise for all school workers and retirees. Also, expand Medicaid to improve the health of our students and families. Additionally, reinstate the state retiree health benefits for future hires. Finally, restore advanced degree pay. Tonight, I am here to request of our school board that if any staff member wishes to use a personal day to advocate for our public schools and community on May the 1st, then every reasonable effort be made for him or her to use this personal day. However, as a representative of our local CCAE division, I am not here to advocate for the closing of school on May the 1st. We realize we have already missed many instructional hours due to this winter's harsh weather and believe there is no time left to give this year without having to make the day up. Second, CCAE would like to request a resolution of support for the areas in which we are seeking action from our state legislature. On behalf of our local association, I sincerely believe we can all agree these 5 items will improve our schools, our students' overall well-being, and our community as a whole. I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening, as well as your continued support of our Caldwell County staff and students. And just as a side, I know Mrs. Edwards said what we're thankful for, and personally, I'm thankful for all of you and your support. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shelby. We appreciate your being here. Any comments?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I was trying hard to get your points. Tell me what point number 2 was. It was $15 minimum. I couldn't write fast enough.
A $15 minimum wage, plus a 5% wage, 5% raise for all workers, school workers and retirees. I know that a few years ago, when the minimum wage was passed, that the school workers, public employees, school employees were left out of that minimum wage increase. So it was for everybody else, but not for school workers.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Any other comments? Okay.
okay.
That
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. We certainly, as a board, have, we appreciate the great job that teachers do in the classroom every day. And we're out there showing our support quite often.
I agree. 100%. We see you often.
Thank you for being here. Next, I'd like to recognize Associate Superintendent for Auxiliary Services, Dr. Jeff Church.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Phipps, I have 3 items for your approval tonight. Item A is the construction contract with Hickory Construction. We have been, our attorneys have been working on this all day today, and I recommend approval as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the construction contract with Hickory Construction Company as has been presented?
Chair, I move that we approve the construction contract with Hickory Construction Company, subject to the Board of Education receiving adequate financing and local government commission approval.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any comments, any questions? We've already got the funding, haven't we?
Yes.
So, funding's already been secured.
It will be secured tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes.
Thank
Next.
you. Thank you. Item B, last month, we put a resolution concerning the sublease of Walker Stadium out for a 30-day comment period. To my knowledge, we have not received any comments, so I recommend the approval of the sublease
as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the sublease of Walker Stadium as presented by Dr. Church?
I'll make the motion we approve the sublease as presented by Dr. Church.
Any comments or questions about that? I think we have discussed that in work sessions.
We have.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And item C is simply a report. As you all know, we received the $15 million needs-based grant from the state. Along with that comes an annual reporting requirement, and this annual report meets that requirement. Thus far, we have not drawn down any lottery funds. However, we have expended right at $1 million towards our total 5% match. I respectfully request the approval of the report as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the needs-based capital fund annual report as presented by Dr. Church?
Chairman Penland, I move that we approve the needs-based public school capital fund annual report as presented by Dr. Church.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Church. Next, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resource Services, Dr. Bill Griffin.
Chairman Pennell, Vice Chair Branch, members of the board, Dr. Phipps, I have before you Subject A, Human Resources, usual and customary. The first are just informational items. Do you have any questions about them at this time? Thank you. Second this evening is Subject B, Human Resources, usual and customary action items. Contracts, respectfully request approval of the attached executive content that you have there.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the Human Resource Services usual and customary items as presented?
I'll make the motion we approve the Human Resource Services usual and customary action as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone? Second? Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Next, I have for you Subject C, Human Resource Service, usual and customary personnel action items, the substitute teacher list there. You can see those names identified below. I respectfully request approval of them at this time.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the Human Resource Services usual and customary personnel action items as you have had a chance to review and as Dr. Griffin has presented? Is there a motion?
Chairman Penland, I move that we approve the usual and customary personnel action items as presented in the substitute list by Dr. Griffin.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments? Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And then finally, we have before you student transfers for 2019 through 2020. As you see there, we have total transfer request of 388. Transfers recommended for board approval are 347. Transfers not recommended for board approval are 41. And transfers revoked are 1, bringing a total board approval for 1920 at 1,584. I respectfully request approval of those at this time.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the April board transfers for 2019, 2020 as presented?
I move that we approve the student transfers as presented.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin. Appreciate it. Next, Director of Finance, Mr. David Johnson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Phipps. I have a few items tonight. The first one, number A, letter A, is the budget amendments for the State Public School Fund. Budget amendment number 12, $274,240. It's for PRC 16 Summer Reading Camp, Developmental Day Funds, and transportation funds for stop arm cameras. Budget amendment number 13 is for the federal grant fund, excuse me, an amount of $2,885. This is changes in allocation for PRC 108, Student Support and Academic Growth. It's a recommendation to approve as submitted, bring the total budget for Caldwell County Schools to $122,063,258.76.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the federal grant fund amendments as well as the state fund amendments as presented?
Chairman
Move it.
Pennell, I make a motion that we approve the amendments for the federal and the state funds as presented.
Second the motion.
All right, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Letter B is the county appropriation request. General Statute 115C 429 requires the Board of Education to formally adopt and submit appropriation to the county Board of Commissioners by May 15th of each year. Our county has requested that they receive our request by the end of April this year. We discussed this in the work session. We would think that a request of a 3% salary increase and the increased cost to cover our locally paid employees, there's approximately 170. This would be a recommendation from the superintendent and finance officer to request $350,740 additional allocation in county appropriations from the County of Caldwell.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the funding request as has been outlined by Mr. Johnson?
I move that we approve the budget request for the county, which includes the 3% for payroll, as presented by David Johnson.
And
I second that.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes.
letter C, the Guaranteed Energy Savings Financing Resolution. That was actually what the public hearing was for. On March 12th, we issued an RFP for banking services for approximately $6.4-ish million. We expected somewhere around a 3.4 interest rate based on the indicative rates that we received from a couple of lenders. We actually received a quote from Bank of America for 3.06. This aggressive rate will allow us to borrow additional funds at the same repayment schedule. I'm requesting approval of the resolution which authorizes the execution and delivery of financing agreement for the acquisition and financing of energy savings equipment and authorizing all other actions necessary for this financing agreement.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the resolution which authorized funding for the Guaranteed Energy Savings Project? Is that the way you mentioned it? Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Chairman Pennell, I move that we approve the Guaranteed Energy Saving Project financing resolution and application as presented by David Johnson.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, great. The last thing, letter D, is the audit contract for Boggs, Crump, and Brown. This is our annual financial audit as required by the Local Government Commission for all governmental agencies. The annual audit fee this year will be for June 30th, 19 will be $38,800. Boggs, Crump, and Brown, they've been doing our audit for several years. I feel like they provide a very detailed and extensive audit of the programs, controls, and our financial statements. They're very experienced in the area of school business. We've also not had a fee increase since 2013. I would like to request that the audit contract for Boggs, Crump, and Brown be approved as submitted.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the annual audit contract with Boggs, Crump, and Brown as presented?
Chair, I move that we approve the annual audit contract with Boggs, Crump, and Brown as presented.
Second motion.
Any comments or questions? I think we're very satisfied with the job they've been doing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next, our superintendent, Dr. Phipps.
I'd like to respectfully request the approval of the board for policy 3420, which is student promotion and accountability. It has been up for public review and just seeking your approval tonight.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the board policy 3420 as you have had an opportunity to review and as presented by Dr. Phipps?
I move that we approve the student promotion and accountability 3420 as presented.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Have you had any feedback?
I have not. Dr. Burns' curriculum had any feedback on the policy?
Okay, anything else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes. Anything else, Dr. Phipps?
No.
Okay. Do I hear a motion that we go into closed session at this point?
Chairman Pennell, I move that we go into closed session to discuss confidential personnel matters pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A1, and North Carolina General Statute 115C-321, and to consult with the board attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Sure. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we will be in closed session for a period of time. We do expect that there will at least be an action item when we come back.
Said all rise when we walked in and Garrett stood up.
Thank you all for hanging in there with us. We do have a couple items to close out here. As many of you are aware, the Board of Education appoints 4 people to the Board of Trustees at the community college, and each year we appoint one. So it's that time of the year to do that. Do I hear a motion, or do I hear a nomination of someone to go to the Board of Trustees?
I'd like to nominate Bill Stone.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All right, second. Any questions? Any comments?
Spoke to Dr. Porch, very much in favor. Feel like there's some unfinished work, and he'd love to have him back on again.
I think he does a great job with it, and he's very prone to keep us informed with what's going on with it, with the school, and very pro working college and the public schools together.
Any others? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The board has had opportunity to get some training here recently, and I'd like to give any of those members that had some thoughts and ideas about what they went to, some of the sessions that they attended. Any comments? Anyone?
I'll speak. The first one I went to was called Crossing the Lines When Educators Become Predators. Usually an educator becomes a predator, has no background on other offenses, and is either a coach, a band, or some type of performing arts. In other words, somebody that has more contact with them in just one period of the day. And this session was designed to identify the signs of a predator. Another session I went to was called Changing the Language of Adolescence. Some of the nation says you guys, some say you, some say you all. Here in the South we say y'all, and that's accepted. It's just dialects in the United States. And for example, President Obama had 2 distinct dialects, depending on who he was talking to. New words come about all the time, such in 1995, Wide World Web, and like texting. If you're texting all caps, it means you're angry. And I don't think we need to have spelling bees anymore because we already got spell check. But anyway, in the 1700s, 1800s, and as early as late as 1956, proclamations have been written that the English language is being ruined. And I'm sure that the same can be said today, right, Dr. Burns? And you.
Amen. Any others?
Great training opportunity. I don't remember the specific names of all the sessions that I went to. Most of the ones that I chose were dealing with student mental health and school safety. Of course, I believe that the two really go hand in hand, but it was an excellent training opportunity. I enjoyed it all.
The ones that I went to are dealing with board and superintendent relations among themselves and within the district. And, you know, just some of the stuff that was brought up in the session was having the school staff not worry whenever a school board comes in, a member or the superintendent, you know, keep doing what you're doing. We're here to praise you. We're not here to tear you down. And I feel like we try to do that. And I hope that the school staffs know that whenever we come in, we're just wanting to be able to go out in the public and brag. And I think we do that, but, you know, I'm sure it is probably undaunting sometimes whenever 7 board members stick their head in the door and the superintendent, and you're like, oh boy, what did I just do? You know, it's probably not but the goal is, in my opinion, of the board, and I was told very first thing, don't ever speak for the board, but I think that the board wants our staff to feel comfortable whenever we show up, because we're just there to see all the good things and be able to tell the public about the good things. And then the last person that spoke was human resources, and he was just talking about how right now it is so hard to find quality workers. And it's like tonight we had, you know, student teachers here, and you know, they're basically, for lack of a better term, they're out on the draft board, you know, working for that school, showing what they can do, and I think that's a great opportunity, and I'm proud that we will allow them to come in to the school system. And as I think Dr. Griffin said, is, you know, not only the teachers learning from the students, but the students learning from these mentor teachers, and I think that's such a good opportunity.
I'll mention 2 things very quickly. I really enjoyed hearing the gentleman Sir Ken Robinson, who does the TED Talks. And I'm just going to say one thing about that, and that was the revolution of change that technology is bringing us, and you all know how much that is of interest to all of us. But when he talked about opening the minds of our students to the possibilities that are out there, and I'm always looking for that because I care so much about trying to do better and better myself, and the revolution that's taking place in our schools with technology. I thought that was a very interesting part. Finally, I did go to one that on the very last day that talked about the relationship between the Board of Education and the superintendent, and reminded of 101 that Chris has just gone to, but that the importance of our board being a team. And I'm so thankful for each one of you, because I feel that the more we are a team and a collaborator, the better that will happen within our public schools. And then that the superintendent is the person who develops the district vision and the very clear explanations and directions for our school system. And I just feel so fortunate to be able to work with Dr. Phipps, and already the vision and the direction that he is establishing for us, and then the code of ethics that we're determined to live by. So the superintendent is the person who in fact translates the vision, and we support and help that vision. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to revisit those clear points, and appreciate the being there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? If not, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll see you soon. Y'all have a good evening. Go home and watch the national championship game.
That is tonight, isn't
Go
it?
Virginia.
Go Virginia.
Go Virginia. That's exactly
Is that your team, Lynette?
She's from Virginia.
She a Virginia person?
She